Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about Season 25, the collection box set. And I'm going to kind of review my thoughts on it. Of course, we've already talked about the packaging, which is fantastic. I love how Lee Binding does the background in more detail, like it's more saturated instead of just being kind of translucent or just kind of being kind of light in the background. Ever since pretty much the Season 9 one, these are much more vibrant and they pop more, and I like that a lot. And they're just so detailed. I really enjoy that. Same thing with the back art. I like how much more the back art, which of course is the same images there, pops more. That's really nice. As for the set itself, I really enjoyed it. I liked the looking for, was it Dursley? I enjoyed that. I wasn't really familiar with him except from this episode from Remembrance. Of course, I'm in America, so I probably wouldn't have seen a lot of the other stuff he was in, but it was a really well-shot story. I was also very surprised to find out not just Sophie Aldred, but another Doctor Who companion was actually a close friend of his, so that was pretty neat to see. And just learning about his life. It was a well-made documentary, which I enjoyed. I loved the Behind the Sofa. I always love Behind the Sofa. Behind the Sofa is one of my favorite things about these box sets. I love watching everybody's reactions, just their honest reactions. Some people liking stuff, some people not liking stuff. Seeing how the couch that's kind of from this story, like Sylvester McCoy and Sophie and their guest person, hearing their thoughts on it, and then hearing the thoughts from other Doctor Who alumni who are not in this story, getting their thoughts on it, as some of them may be seeing it for the first time. It's always great to have Janet, of course. I wish Peter was on these, because I love Peter and Janet's back and forth. Although I did like Sarah and Janet with Colin on the box set they did together. That was really good. But I really wish they'd get Peter back. Also, I'd love for them to get, I'd love if they could get like Peter Capaldi or David Tennant. I know Peter Capaldi and David Tennant are very busy. And they're probably not the cheapest people to get, of course, but you know, they're both big Doctor Who fans. They're both Doctor Who fans. David Tennant and Peter Capaldi are both big Doctor Who fans. So you figure that's something they would like to do, that they would enjoy doing, that they would very much enjoy their time rewatching these episodes, and it would just be such a boon, I think, for the box set to have one of them sitting in on the sofa for one box set. Like, have David do season 21, since Peter Davison is his father-in-law, you know, since his wife is, you know, that's his daughter, Peter Davison's daughter. I really think having David sit in on the couch watching Peter's stories from season 21 would be such a great, fun thing to watch. You know, David just kind of poking fun at, oh gosh, David poking fun at Warriors of the Deep. Have David and Peter maybe on a couch together talking about it. Or it might be more fun if David was on his own. David with Georgia, his wife, with Georgia Moffat. I'd love to have both of them, so she could kind of poke fun at her dad too, because it's Warriors of the Deep. I would love that. I want that now. But I did very much enjoy the Behind the Sofas. They were a lot of fun. I really liked one of the Panopticon archives. This one with, of course, Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. I think it was taken from the late 90s because it's after the TV movie. And I always love watching McCoy, especially in these older videos. He's so animated. He really is just this bundle of energy. He is always on the move. He's a lot like me, actually. When I'm standing up, it's very hard for me to be still when I'm standing up. I like to move around a lot. And so I'm the same way, where I'm just kind of going all over the place. So I just love how animated he is as he's talking, as he's answering questions, as he's walking back and forth to the audience with the microphone. I really want to see, there's this part in this video where someone brings up, they ask Sylvester if he's seen the video where Sophie does an impersonation of him, and he's like, no, wait, there's a video? And like, somebody in the audience has the video, and you get the impression they're going to play it, and it never ends up getting played. I want to see that video now. I want to see Sophie doing that impression of Sylvester. And Sophie's like, no, don't play it, no. And then she starts trying to hide, like she takes the cushions off the sofa and builds herself a little fort and like dives into it with her legs sticking out. So they have this running joke of Sophie's become a sofa. Sophie's a sofa. It's really funny. I really enjoy it. And just Sylvester's reaction sometimes. And there's even a couple little lewd, in a humorous way, little gags they get in, which are really, really funny. I always love the rapport between Sophie and Sylvester. You can tell they just get on really well. They're so comfortable with each other. I love watching them talk now and in those the archival footage. They just click. I mean, they share a birthday. They actually have the same birthday, I remember. And so it's just so much fun always seeing them interact, whether it's on Behind the Sofa Now or in these the archive films when they're talking, because it's just they just had this good chemistry, this banter they have together. So I really liked that. Sophie has to leave partway through it because I think she had something else going on, and then the rest of it is just Sylvester talking. But it's so much fun. He talks about the TV movie and how it had more of a budget and how he actually had his own trailer, and how before that him and Sophie would have to like change in bathrooms and stuff into their outfits when they went, or like at conventions and stuff. And how here he had like his own like trailer and he had a driver who could move it. It's so much fun just hearing these behind the scenes things. I always love listening to the cast, especially if you have some archive footage where you have some good audio. I have run into some sometimes where you're sitting there going, what? Like I remember one with Mark Strickson and a couple other people on one of the box sets, and it's hard to get through that one. But this one was really good. I really enjoyed that. Then, of course, there's the special editions. I very much enjoyed those. I think I would consider most of them to be the definitive versions of their respective stories. I tend to like having the stuff put back in. I know some people might be like, well, some of that was cut for pacing. But to be honest, especially with the three-parters, with Happiness Patrol and Silver Nemesis, a lot of it was cut for broadcast time because the episodes were overrunning. And even in Remembrance and Silver Nemesis, there are, I think they flow better, and Greatest Show in the Galaxy, I should say, even for the four-parters. I feel like a lot of the cuts weren't done because of pacing issues. They were done because they had to hit a certain transmission time. Personally, I think the cuts hurt the pacing because they had to hit that transmission time. And a lot of the episodes flow better with that footage put back in, because we know a lot of times the McCoy era would overrun, and so they would have to make edits. So it's nice having those deleted scenes put back in. I'm glad that the footage for that survived, so we didn't have to quite do like a work print like they did with Ghostlight, which I still love the Ghostlight work print, to be honest. Again, it just makes that story better having that in there. My one big complaint is with Silver Nemesis. And I don't like the fact they changed the final shot. I love the original shot when Ace is like, who are you? And he does that. I love that. That's the perfect way to end that episode. The special edition instead uses an alternate take where he just winks at the camera. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It just, I mean, it in itself is not bad. But the is so much better. Just the cryptic way McCoy did it. Just the way, I love that. I love the way that ends. And it's switching to him just winking at the camera. It feels a little too meta, a little too much winking to the audience. I tend to not like when Doctor Who breaks that fourth wall. I didn't like the fact that Season 1, the new series with Shudigatwa, did that a lot with them winking at the camera. I don't like that. And it feels like, you know, we did this as an Easter egg to see how Season 25 was kind of doing like Season 1, a little nod to the Season 1 fans. Classic Who should never give nods to current Doctor Who, ever. Don't re-edit classic Doctor Who to do that, ever. I mean, I'm sure that's not what they were going for, but I still just don't like that wink. It's like the defender intercepts the ball, runs it all the way back for a touchdown, and then spikes the ball on the 1-yard line. The special edition of Silver Nemesis is the definitive version until that last shot, and it kind of makes it not. I haven't watched the omnibus yet. I do want to watch the omnibus of Silver Nemesis, and when I do, I'll do a review for that. But I kind of just want to see what it'll be like. I'm curious to see how you're going to make that work as an omnibus. But the special edition, aside from that ending shot, was really good. The special effects, in general, look really good, especially in Silver Nemesis. I love the Remembrance one. Remembrance could be my favorite special edition. I enjoy it a lot. I love the fact they cut the little TV bit where it starts to mention a brand new TV show. I just never really liked that. It's a little too on the nose. So I'm glad they cut that out. I love the updated laser blast for the Daleks, of course. You guys know Prowl likes his updated laser blast. Plus, if you've heard me do my reviews of Remembrance before, I've always had a bit of an issue with the original Dalek blast effects. They're not bad by any means. They're interesting. They just felt a little weird. Like the episode was supposed to be in 3D or something. They just, I don't know, they've always bothered me a little bit. I love the fact that they were in different colors for the Dalek factions. The orange for the Imperial and the more traditional teal-like color for the Renegade Daleks. I like that, but I never liked the original effect. I love the updated effects for the laser blast, especially the special weapons Dalek. And I like the fact there's a little part on the gun barrel of the special weapons Dalek that lights up now as it's firing. I don't know why, but that little touch where you see those little rings light up, I love that. I absolutely love that. I like the fact that the pacing when the Doctor is trapped on the stairs by the Dalek, that scene just seems to run smoother, like like they edited some bits out to make it seem like the Dalek got up the stairs faster. And that just really makes that scene work a lot better. In my opinion, I like that a lot more. That was always one of my complaints with the originals, the Daleks going up the stairs, and I'm like, he's still not through the door yet? He gets through the door much quicker here. And, you know, the scene moves at the pace I've always felt like it should. And the updated effect for the Dalek coming up the stairs is very nice. I liked it. I do wish we'd had more of Michael Sheard in the story. I didn't realize he's only in the first 2 parts, because I always love seeing Michael Sheard in Doctor Who. And then the updated effects for the girl with her lightning, like her Star Wars lightning, is definitely improved as well. Definitely my favorite version of Remembrance of the Daleks. Probably the version I'll watch from now on. Greatest Show, as I mentioned in that review, didn't really need updated effects, but the updated effects do look good. I will say I prefer them over the original effects, but I could watch either version of it. I did enjoy this watch through of Greatest Show more than I ever have any watch through of Greatest Show before. And even though I know only episodes 1 and 3 actually had footage restored, I think 2 and 4 were still the broadcast cut. But I enjoyed it more. I still have, the first episode still kind of annoys me a bit, but I was a little more kinder toward it this time. I wasn't unhappy with my watch through of it. I'll put it that way. Still easily my least favorite of the season, because even Silver Nemesis is better, to be honest. But I enjoyed my watch through, and episode 4 is still very good. I do actually still like a lot of episode 4, and the updated effects are even an improvement over the already good original effects. And then, of course, there's Happiness Patrol, which feels to me the most changed with the establishing shots and everything. It feels the most different to me. I think the effects for it look the most CGI to me, while still looking very good. It just has a slightly different feel to it than the studio version. Keeping in mind, this is only the second time I've seen the story. I've only watched the original version once. I feel like Happiness Patrol will be the one story on this set for sure that I think I will be watching both versions from now on, just whichever one I'm in the mood for. I think sometimes I'll prefer the original version. Sometimes I'll prefer the special edition. As most of the time, I prefer special editions. I prefer updated effects almost always. Not always, but almost always. This is the one where I think I'll be fine either way. I think it's just whichever one I'm in the mood for. Because I love the original version of Happiness Patrol, but I also loved the special edition of Happiness Patrol. And they feel slightly different to me. Whereas the other stories, it's pretty much the same, just with prettier effects and some more scenes added in. This one just, like, I can't sit here and tell you how much footage is added in. This might be, I think is it Happiness Patrol? I think it's Happiness Patrol. There's almost a whole episode's worth of footage added to this story. Happiness Patrol, of course, was a 3-parter, but I think they've added in enough footage to where it almost equates to be another part And I feel like the story just flows a little different, but still good. Great performances. Those are, I think, the main things I've watched on the box set. I have watched 2 of the In Conversations. I've watched Andrew Cartmell's, because I always love watching him talk about Doctor Who. And then I watched Sophie's new one, because she's really covered a lot of ground since her season 26 one, especially with coming back in Power of the Doctor and talking about At Childhood's End, which I've also read. One of my subscribers sent it. Stephen, I think was his name. One of my subscribers from up north, actually, sent that to me. He sent me this big box set, probably the biggest box set I've ever gotten, actually. It's the biggest piece of fan mail I've ever gotten. It's huge. Really, really appreciate Stephen sending that. But it was a good read. So it was really nice kind of catching up with Sophie and everything that's happened in her life since and getting her thoughts on that. I still need to watch Chris's, which I'll probably do at some point. But I tend to not just want to go through everything at once, but I've very much been enjoying this box set. All the stories are good. All of the updated versions of the stories are good. Well, Greatest Show in the Galaxy I have my issues with. It's hard for me to call it good, but I did enjoy it. It's such an odd one for me because, like, the first 2 episodes of it I typically don't care for, and the last 2 episodes of it I do like. It's a story that gets progressively better, unlike some stories that get progressively worse. This one gets progressively better. Like, the first episode's my least favorite. The second episode I'm still not keen on. The third episode is middle of the road okay for me. The fourth episode I really like. But I did enjoy it, as I said, more this time. So it's some of the little things really make this work for me, even in the episodes that I'm not as keen on. Ian as the Chief Clown, he is just so good as the Chief Clown. What he's doing with his facial expressions, what he's doing with the little bit of dialogue he has, especially what he is doing with his body language. He's a creepy clown. He pulls that off really well. So he's definitely a highlight of the episode. I like Mags a lot. I just like her design, her with the hair and everything. You know, very 80s. I really like Jessica, I think's her name. Yeah, Jessica does a really good job playing her. I'm not the biggest fan of Captain Cook, but he's played well for what he is. And then I like the tent, how they did the tent. I mean, I know about all the behind the scenes problems, but I think that works in this story's favor with the tent. I think it's cleverly put together and executed on screen, especially when you know the behind the scenes issues. I think it works pretty well. It's not perfect. The Ragnarok things never quite convinced me. And as much as I enjoy the fact Sylvester gets to show off his physical comedy, it does get a little tedious and long running for me. But there's definitely some great stuff in the execution of the story. So yeah, season 25. I'm enjoying this box set a lot. Of course, I still have the little damage spot on mine. I'm waiting on my replacement to come in. But it is a really good box set. I don't know which one's my favorite between the 3 McCoy box sets. I enjoy them all. I like all of McCoy's seasons. I think the McCoy era is the most underrated era the show has ever had. I enjoy season 24. I think season 24 is massively underrated. I mean, it has Paradise Towers. I'm going to be honest, Paradise Towers feels like a season 25 story. Like, it feels like it would have slotted in perfectly with season 25. Just something about it. It always strikes me as a season 25 story. I think it's very, very clever in what it's doing and the point it's getting across. And it just feels a little more intelligent than the other 3 stories that season. As someone who also really likes Dragonfire and enjoys time in the Ronnie, especially knowing all the problems behind the scenes it had. Was really the only dud in that season and the whole McCoy era really being Delta and the Bannerman, which I just never quite clicked with. It has a couple things going for it, including Riley, which I really like, but for the most part, I don't really care for it. And then, of course, season 26 is phenomenal. It's my favorite McCoy season, with Battlefield being good, not great, but good. The incidental music's a little rough, but it's nice having the Brigadier back, and I really like the makeup effects for the Destroyer. Of course, you guys know I love Ghostlight and Curse of Fenric. Those are 2 of the most interesting Doctor Who stories ever. I love both of them. And then Survival's fine. I don't think Survival is great. I think it gets a little too much credit because it's the last story. But it's definitely doing some stuff I like. It's Anthony Ainley's best performance as the Master, in my opinion. Sylvester McCoy gets some great stuff to do in it. Sophie gets some great stuff to do in it. But I do think it's a little overrated. But I wish season 24 until season 26 could have had maybe some updated effects. Season 24 didn't get any, which is a little disappointing. And then season 26 only got the ones that were previously available already for Curse of Fenric and Battlefield, which those updated effects are nice, to be fair. But I kind of wish something else had gotten something. So I'm happy they did all of the updated effects and special editions for season 25 to kind of make up for that. So I enjoy all 3 of the box sets. I'm happy to have all of them here now. Whoop. I'm going to wait until I can slide that in better. That came out wrong. So yeah, I want to know what you think of the Season 25 box set. What you think of the Sylvester McCoy box sets? Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon. If you would like to support me on that, I would certainly appreciate it. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, I have a link to my Amazon wishlist down in the description as well. A link to my Amazon UK wishlist is also down there. Got several of these standard edition sets on there because I'd love to get more of those. Simon's been really good about sending those, which I very much appreciate. And I want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Sam Venning. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. And of course, Simon as well, who has sent me 3 of my 4 standard edition sets. I really appreciate Simon. Huge supporter of the channel. And most importantly, thank you for watching.